Welcome, truth seekers. My clients call me the Legal Lioness, and we delve into legal cases, criminal cases, based on my 3 decades of legal experience. So I am out of the office, as you can see behind me. I am on holiday, going back to the office tomorrow. My husband has brought me away for a anniversary celebration. And so this is why you haven't heard from me for a few days, because we've been celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary, just having a little quiet time. Anyway, today we are going to have a look at the Brian Khoeburger case, and in particular, why has the defense requested yet again a continuance? Okay, so Ann Taylor, the lawyer for the defense, has asked for a continuance, and she's asked for many, I think 8, 10 continuances so far, and the current judge, Judge Hippler, with a P, not a T, Hip with a P, has denied them all. He said, listen, you've had more than 2 years to prepare for this trial. It's starting in August. We're not delaying it anymore. And so this is the case of the 4 Idaho students who were slain in their beds. Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. Very sad case. And the thing is, everybody wants the accused to get a fair trial. We want him to get a fair trial because if he is convicted, we want the conviction to be a good conviction. We want him to have had all the protections that he's supposed to get. Okay, so there's a boat going past in the background. Sorry for the noise. There it's going. There it goes. There. It's a beautiful river here. We're at Noosa in Queensland, Australia. So why is Ann Taylor still asking for a continuance? So her previous continuance, which was, continuance is basically she wants more time to prepare for the case. And her previous one was based on she hasn't had enough time. The prosecution has given her a lot of information and she hasn't had enough time to review it all. The possible outcome is death penalty, and her client needs to have the best defense that he possibly can get. And in that, when she asked previously for the continuance, the judge said, listen, you've had more than 2 years. What is the issue? And she said, oh, they gave us so much information. The thing is, she asked for all of the information, which included terabytes of video, CCTV, much of which was not even relevant. The CCTV around the area at the time when the murders were committed, to see if they could see a suspicious looking vehicle. Much of it is not considered to be relevant. So the judge said to her, listen, you could have asked for technology, AI technology, to review that CCTV stuff. You could have asked for 12 extra legal assistants to review the information, the documentation, the tips, all of that. And she said, oh, no, Judge, I like to review every word and every frame of every video myself. That's how I like to prepare. Which is all good and well, but you can't use your slow method as an excuse for wanting extra time. So why does she want the extra time? So her latest filing, she's now got the excuse that there was a new NBC Dateline special that came out that had new evidence that we'd never seen before, because a lot of the evidence was kept under seal. And so she's saying this new evidence is very detrimental to her client, and she needs to have some time from when this Dateline special aired to give the public time to forget about it, but for their memories to fade, so that her client can get a fair trial. Now, I have 2 things to say to that. Firstly, not everybody is as consumed by true crime as true crime people are. Okay, I remember when the most recent Lori Vallow Daybell case, that's the lady who she was involved with the murder of her children, and then she was found guilty of conspiring to kill her I don't know if it was her ex-husband or her estranged husband, Charles Vallow. Anyway, so she was found guilty in that case. But after that case, I was very interested to hear the jurors, when they were talking about it. Some of the jurors said they had never ever heard the name Laurie Vallow Daybell. Now, if you're at all familiar with true crime, her children had disappeared, and there was a huge outcry for months and months and months. People were trying to find these kids that were 7 and 13 years old. And so I would have thought that everybody heard of Laurie Vallow Daybell because everybody was looking for her children and she was being uncooperative. So just because something is on the TV, it doesn't mean that everybody's heard it. So there's that. And then the second thing is the things that came out on this NBC something, Dateline. Help me, what is the name? NSBN something, Dateline. For me, it wasn't really new information. It was more an expansion of the information we already knew from the search warrants, etc. So, for example, they said that there was a new video of a car circling the area. Well, to me, that looked just like the video we've already seen. So I don't know how. It's just a very dark. You can't really see what's happening. You can see the headlights. You can see the headlights going forward and backwards and forward and backwards. And we've already seen a video of that, maybe from a different angle. I don't know. It's nothing new. It doesn't identify his car. It doesn't show his number plate. It doesn't show him getting into the car, getting out of the car. So that, to me, is rubbish. There were some apparent photographs that he had on his phone, where he'd saved some photos of young, good-looking women who went to the nearby university. I don't know. Don't all young men have photos of sexy girls on their phone? I don't know. That to me doesn't mean he did anything bad, or that's. So what? How is that going to derail his defense? And how is any more time going to help her? I don't understand. Then there was one thing that was fairly new, which was something about apparently he'd done some disgraceful pornography searches. And that was something that we had not heard of before. Well, again, I don't know. Is that a reason to now delay this trial that's already been delayed? I mean, it's taken us more than 2 years. Or it's about 2 years, I think, to get to the trial date. So how is any time elapsing going to help that? Other than that, I don't think there was anything new. There was supposedly, they made a big deal of his Amazon searches. We had already heard from the search warrants that he had made Amazon searches. And he had searched, apparently he had bought a knife and sheath from Amazon 8 months before the murders, and then after the murders he had looked for a knife and sheath and he had put that into his cart but not purchased that. And some people had said, oh, maybe that's a replacement knife, but that information had already come out, so that's not new. So I don't think there's anything really new. Why does she want more time? I think maybe she's hoping against hope that somehow delaying it will bring out some extra little tidbit of information that she hadn't known before. I don't know. The judge is also unsympathetic to her, because this is the defense lawyer, because she's taken on a second death penalty case. And at the last continuance hearing, he just said to her, if you've got time to take on a second death penalty case, that doesn't strike me as a defense that doesn't have enough time to prepare for the current case. So I think that's going to be her downfall. It's going to be very difficult for him to reschedule the case, I think, because he's been very strict and he said he's not going to reschedule it, and she's asked so many times and he said no. But also it's going to take 3 months, and so they've family, friends, reporters, everybody have booked out Airbnbs, hotels, motels, everything for that 3 month block of time. And they've also timed it between the university terms, as I understand it. So yeah, it's going to make things very awkward. I would have thought that the Dateline show would be more, the remedy for that would be more to find out who did it and, give them a penalty if they did something bad. And then just ask about it in your questionnaire. Did you watch the Dateline thing? Did you see any reporting on the Dateline thing? Did it change your mind about anything? Did it influence your thinking? I I wouldn't like to be the judge to have to make that decision, because if he does not give them a continuance and then the guy's found guilty, it's always going to be appealed, and then that's going to be one of the grounds that they appeal on. But he's made it very, very clear. Oh, and apparently there's also a book, James Patterson, the famous author, he's got a book coming out a couple of weeks before the trial is due to start, and apparently he's spoken to some special exclusive sources. Yeah, I don't know. How many millions of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people are potentially on the jury. I don't think they'll be reading the book. I don't know. Anyway, she's doing what she should do, grasping at straws. She's putting in all of her efforts into it. But why does she really want it? I think the real thing is that she's digging around in the documentation that the prosecution has given her, and she's hoping to find some kind of hidden tiny little tidbit of material that might help her client's case. And I do have some sympathy as a lawyer. I do have some sympathy as to what she's going through. But these days we have AI that can go through all sorts of material, whether it's videos, photographs, documentary, like handwritten notes from interviews, that kind of thing. You just put that all through the AI, and then the AI does like a timeline, or you can ask it a specific question. Can you look at this information, AI, and tell me what other suspects were looked at early on by the police, and is there any information about why they were dismissed, or were any of them dismissed without what it appears to be good reason? But the difficult thing that she's got to overcome is his DNA is on the knife sheath found under the body of one of the deceased. I mean, she's arguing that, police looked at these other suspects early on and then focused in on Brian Khoeburger and didn't follow up, or they then became very focused on him. Well, yeah, I would also focus on the guy whose DNA was at the scene. These girls in that evening, before they were done away with, they went out to a bar. So police would have spoken to the people they spoke to at the bar. They went to a food truck. There's video of them at the food truck chatting to somebody at the food truck. Of course, police are going to talk to all of those people. But, they will have information that those people went home, or there's video of them going out again, or something that shows that their interaction was innocuous, and only one person's DNA is on the knife sheath. Although Ann Taylor has argued that other people's DNA was found in the house where the girls and Ethan were murdered. But it was a party house. You would expect them to find other DNA. And I see it's getting really dark. I just want to show you the sunset. This is a beautiful, beautiful place that we've come to. Yeah, so predicting which way the judge is going to rule, if he was super cautious, he would give them a continuance, but then how long does he let them draw it out for? And he's told them he's not giving them any more time. And I don't think this Dateline thing really has much more, although of course they're going to make a meal of it, but there wasn't really much on there that I heard that I hadn't heard before. So and the jury is only supposed to make the decision on what they hear, on what gets put into evidence. I mean, if they could seat a jury, an unbiased jury for Casey Anthony, they've got ways and means of seating an unbiased jury. Just because something's out in the media doesn't mean it's going to adversely affect. But then she is doing what she should do. She has to fight for her client, and But then I don't know why she's taken on this other death penalty case. She should be focusing all her time and attention on the one case. Oh, there was another thing that I saw some YouTubers saying, oh, she's focusing, because a lot of what she's saying is she needs more time to do this, what's called a life evaluation, which is basically evaluate the accused. What I just wonder if there's a light that I can switch on out here. Let me go and see. Okay, so got the light on now. So one of the things that the defense attorney is saying is that she needs more time to do this thing called the life evaluation, which is to have a look at her client. Has he ever had any mental illness? Has anybody in his family ever had any mental illness? Has he had any trauma in his life? It's a really, really detailed examination of the person, and the purpose of that examination is for when you get to the penalty phase of the case. So the case is divided into two phases. One is the crime, guilty or not guilty, did he do it? And that's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, a couple of months, maybe 2.5 months. And then the jury gets to decide guilty or not guilty. Obviously, if they say not guilty, then that's the end of it. He goes home. If they say guilty, then they go into the next phase, which the judge has already said that he's probably going to sequester the jury at that stage if they haven't been sequestered before. So for the death penalty, for the penalty phase, deciding whether or not he gets the death penalty, they will be kept in a hotel and not allowed out until they've decided on his punishment. So what Ann Taylor, the defense lawyer, is saying, I need more time to prepare for that penalty phase of the case. I need the time now, because the judge has already said as soon as they decide guilty or not guilty, the very next day, or the very next working day, the jury is going to be deciding on the penalty phase. So she's not going to have time later on, after they find him guilty or not guilty, that she's not going to have time then to prepare for the penalty phase of the case. So now some people on YouTube are saying, oh, she's putting so much effort into she needs more time for the penalty phase. This means that she thinks he's guilty. This means she thinks he's going to be found guilty. No, absolute rubbish, nonsense, malarkey, balderdash, junk, rubbish. You do not know what you are talking about, okay? She has a duty as a defense lawyer to prepare now, before the case, for that penalty phase of the case. It is an actual specific legal obligation that she has as a defense lawyer. If she didn't prepare now for that phase of the case, she would be derelict in her duty. She could be struck off as a lawyer. So saying, oh, the fact that she wants to prepare now for that part of the case means she knows she's lost the case. Complete and utter rubbish. And this is something that frustrates me. I mean, I'm happy for people to talk about legal things and give their opinion and whatever, but that is just complete fake, false, rubbish, nonsense. It shows the people who are saying that to be completely, I don't want to say uneducated, but yeah, they're giving false information that is untrue, completely untrue. She has to prepare in advance for that part of the penalty phase of the trial. She's required to do that. But having said that, she has had 2 years to get to know him and his parents and his sisters and the family tree and the family dog, and did he ever get bitten by a dog, or it's a very in-depth assessment of the person and his character and the whole thing. She's had time to do that, and she could have had experts helping her the whole time. It's been 2 years. She's been his lawyer for 2 years. It's not like he's chopped and changed and had lots of different lawyers. She's been his lawyer the whole time. So when you hear people say, oh, that means she thinks he's going to be found guilty, rubbish. She hopes he won't be found guilty. I think she is enough of a good lawyer to know that she's got an uphill battle. It's going to be a very difficult case for them to win. But the fact that she's preparing for that part of the case does not mean that she's given up or she thinks she's going to lose. It's just part of her obligation. Anyway, let me know what other cases you would like me to cover next, and I will see you next time.